Yes,
May I just present the
Chairman?
proposed
Yes,
budget of
Senator
the
Lacson.
DB and PIDEA?
Yes, you're recognized.
Thank
sir.
you, Mr. President. The proposed new appropriations for the Dangerous Drugs Board for fiscal year 2020 is 553.661 million pesos from 283.6 million in the National Expenditure Program. It was increased under the General Appropriations Bill as transmitted by the House to 533.6 million. And the Senate added another 50 million, 20 million to augment the fund for the program monitoring and evaluation of the Philippine Anti-Illegal Drugs Strategy or PADS. So, having said that, Mr. President, this representation is ready for interpellation.
Thank you, Mr. President. Will my other BFF, distinguished gentleman from Cavite, answer some questions in aid of the budget of the DDB and the PIDEA, Mr. President?
Most welcome from the distinguished Senate President, Mr. Presiding Officer.
Thank you, Mr. President. Let me start off with a review of the briefing materials that the Committee on Finance gave us. The DBM's recommended budget for DDB was for the fiscal year 2020 is 54.86% lower than the DDB's requested budget. May I know what particular projects were affected by the decrease by the DBM, and will this decrease affect our or the country's war on drugs, Mr. President?
Because, the only reason, Mr. President, for the reduction of the budget is the non-recurrence of the budget for the nationwide survey. That's now being conducted by the DDB in the amount of 70 million pesos, Mr. President.
But in their request for the 2020 submission to the DBM, you mean this was included already, or this was not included?
This is a non-recurring item under the DDB budget because this was funded under the 2019 or the current year budget of the DDB, Mr. President.
Oh, so the funding for 2020 is no longer necessary.
That is correct, Mr. President.
Sir, 444 million.
For 2020, it's no longer necessary.
444 million din nawala din sa request po nila.
But based on the request of the DDB, 444 million was cut by DBM in their request. 70 million lang yung sa sa survey. Ano po itong naapektuhan?
Asan yung mga items na nasa yung as per your request? Which one? That is also correct, Mr. President. Under Tier 2, no? Under Tier 2, ang mga maapektuhan po dito yung upgrading, repair of DDB offices in the amount of 10 million pesos. Replacement of outdated, old, and broken fixtures and furniture, and the amount of 8 million pesos. Career Performance Development Program, 1 million pesos. Production of digital materials for Drug Enforcement Portal, 2.73 million pesos. Those are the projects to be adversely affected by the reduction.
But then again, it doesn't even reach 100 million, Mr. President. But
Also the National Communication Plan for the PADS.
Oh.
Also the National Communication Plan for the PADS.
Ayan, magkano yun? Magkano yung tinanggal? Will be affected.
400 million. As a matter of fact, Mr. President, the subcommittee C proposed an additional 200 million pesos to support the institutionalization of the PADS. Kasamaan pala, 20 million lamang yung na-adapt ng Mother Committee. Anyway,
That's
Senator Angara is here.
That's a very sad note, Mr. President, because by virtue of the executive order issued by the President, Executive Order 66, if I'm not mistaken, October 2018 ang date. The DDB was, of course, designated to be the lead agency in the implementation and institutionalization of the Philippine Anti-Illegal Drugs Strategy, or PADS. It directs all government offices, departments, bureaus, agencies, and offices, including government-owned and controlled corporations and state universities and colleges, to implement the PADS in accordance with their respective mandates. Malawak ito, and we would like to know the current implementation of the PADS, why they had to cut a big chunk of the amount allotted to this and only 20 million. Parang, ano to, patalo?
Most of the budgetary requirements of the PADS are already incorporated in the budget of the agencies that are involved in the PADS effort, Mr. President.
All right, then in that case, we would like to know the current implementation of the PADS and how these different agencies, corporations, government entities are doing the mandate given by AO 66.
Actually, they're now in the process of cascading the training requirements do sa mga units kasi they were adversely affected by the delay in the passage of the budget for this current year, Mr. President.
Well, perhaps a better question is directly to the DDB, a point-blank question. Are all the agencies covered by EO 66 implementing the plan and operational plans of PADS? Sumusunod ba lahat?
Yeah, yung different levels, they're already aware of their mandate. Pero yun lang, they're still in the process of cascading or making them aware. The other units, Mr. President. But by and large, aware na yung mga units involved in the implementation of the PADS.
They are aware, but I will take
Meaning
it
they
that
know how to
because
do-
delayed yung budget last year, baka iba yung sitwasyon ngayon, but do we expect a better implementation this year?
For next year, yes, it's
I mean,
ongoing,
next year.
Mr. President. Ang naapektuhan lang kasi na-delay yung pag-download ng budget saka yung sa training din, yung implementation because na-delay nga yung passage ng budget.
Okay. Now, ito kasi, ang pinanggagalingan nito, isa sa mga provisions na nilagay natin sa 9165. And,
Anyway, Mr. President, the DDB is committing to submit a comprehensive report
Yun,
for your
please.
information and
Because-
for the information of the body.
Because I would like to, I'm very much interested in a report submitted to you by DOL, by the Department of Labor, on the drug-free workplace program and the drug testing program. Have they submitted already, the Department of Labor?
That will be included in the comprehensive report which they promised to submit within the week, Mr. President.
All right. Okay, we will await for that report, Mr. President. Now, as you mentioned earlier, there was a 70 million allocation last year for the nationwide survey and the extent of drug and drug abuse. May we know the result of the survey?
It will be out in the first quarter of next year. They are now awaiting the result of the actual data gathering, Mr. President. The field work will commence
I suppose the field work
first week
has
of December.
commenced. Huh? Has commenced or will commence?
Will commence
Will commence.
first week of December. Kaya yung data gathering will immediately follow and give or take siguro mga 1 week or 2 weeks, they will be able to collate and give us announce the result first week or first quarter of next year.
We had when I was the Dangerous Drugs Board chairman, we had a survey conducted to that effect, no? May we know this proposed survey that they will be doing or are doing right now, how is this going to be conducted? Ano to, paano to? Household survey, the ILG, or a new tact?
Yeah. Household survey, Mr. President, 9,300 respondents. They'll be tapping the DSWD. So,
I see.
by regions ito. So, extensive yung survey na gagawin. So, I guess they'll come up with an accurate result of the survey.
DSWD this time, ah? Before kasi DILG.
DSWD.
Ginamit namin, DSWD, all right. That will await the result.
Also PSA, Mr. President.
There is a substantial increase in the advertising expenses. I don't mind that. In fact, you should do more. Anyway, if you were to assess the drug abuse prevention and control program of the agency, I'm not talking about the enforcement side. I'm talking about the prevention and control program of the board. On a scale of 1 to 10, where are we now as of 2019?
Sorry, Mr. President.
On a scale of 1 to 10, sa drug abuse control and prevention program,
Not
saan tayo?
hesitating, 8, Mr. President.
8.
Yes, Mr. President.
And possibly
without
10.
hesitation, without mental reservation, with conviction.
All right. We will accept that coming from you. Now, would DDB now have an idea on how many drug dependents there are admitted in rehabilitation centers? I'm sure you would have a report. How many drug dependents are in the rehabilitation centers, both the private and government rehab centers?
Number of admissions, 2,211. That's for 2019, for the current year. As of June 2019, Mr. President.
All yan.
Itong total number of admissions sa 2019 as of June 2019.
That is both
Sa mga government-owned
private,
hospitals.
government lang yan.
Government lang.
What about private?
Combined na po ito. Government-owned, DOH managed, saka LGU managed. Pati yung non-government owned. Ang total niya, ito na yan, 2,211.
Alright. Dapat yung United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, pag i-report nila, ilan na drug dependent sa Pilipinas, 2,211 lang.
Baka po hindi nagpaparehab yung iba.
Hindi, even though, what I mean is, why I'm saying this, I attended a United Nations Office on Drug and Crime convention in Vienna, Austria. And the reason I attended was the UNODC was saying that in their report, there are 10 million drug dependents in the Philippines. So I called for a meeting, I attended the meeting, and I was really surprised at the figures that this United Nations office was blurting out. And it was in the report. And I asked them, how many drug dependents are there in China? There are over 1 billion people in China. How many drug dependents do they have? Ang sinabi, if I'm not mistaken, Yusek Reyes, less than 500,000, There are less than 500,000 drug dependents daw in China. Billion na tao nila. Sabi ng UNODC. And I asked them, why? Where did you get those figures? And they said, those are the drug dependents in the rehabilitation centers in China. Abay kako, kung doon bibilangin, ang Pilipinas, 1,000 lang. Because during that time, 1,000 lang. The 2,200, that's why we should be very careful with the relationship with the United Nations, especially the UNODC. Parang iba ang dating eh. At they believe what they read in the newspapers. Kung ano nabigay na report.
144.
Yun na kagad. Kaya nasisira ang pangalan ng bansa natin. Now, based on the mortality and morbidity rates in the research of the DDB related to drug abuse in the country, and such factors that you may consider, what is the extent of the drug problem as far as drug abuse is concerned?
Actually, Mr. President, itong 2,211, ito lang yung mga na-admit for rehabilitation. Siguro mga severe cases ito. But there are those who are being hindi naman rehabilitated, pero ito yung community-based rehabilitation program, 144,000 ito. Na yung iba, mga user na hindi na bumalik, pero patuloy pa rin sa drug prevention program na rin, para hindi na sila bumalik. So, ang total nito, 144,174 as of September 30, 2019. Pero yung mga na-admit lang do sa government-owned, non-government-owned hospitals, yun yung 2,211, which is a marked improvement from, of course, hanggang June 2019 pa lang ito. Pero 2018 kasi 5,400. So, kung i-assess natin ang yung sa drug problem, there's a marked improvement actually, Mr. President.
All right, very good. I understand also that the DDB, do you have a drug information portal? I think it's an active or interactive online portal that makes information more accessible to the public, and it can trigger the creation of new, knowledgeable, and understanding the anti-drug campaign. Can we access? How can an individual access the portal of DDB, drug information portal of DDB?
They continue to improve the system, Mr. President. Right now, meron naman ongoing yung sa kanilang tinatawag na DIP, Drug Information Portal. No? Interactive online portal that will trigger creation of new knowledge and understanding of the anti-drug campaign. Of course, yung information, backed by sector depending on their needs and interests, Mr. President.
So, can I access it, let's say, can an individual access it, access the
It's open
information
to the
through
public,
the
accessible.
DDB website?
Accessible to the public.
Accessible through the
Yes,
DDB website, huh?
Yes, Mr. President. Merong may direct access, meron ding nakalink sa DDB website. So either through the DDB website, you can access it. Meron ding independent access doon mismo sa portal na sa DIP. Ito yung nasama doon sa sa nawala sa Tier 2. So I guess we should all consolidate our efforts to have this restored, Mr. President. Kasi natanggal ito eh. Magkano yun?
So, walang funding ngayon yan for 2020?
Million. Roughly mga 2.7 million lang.
Naku, Diyos ko naman. Dapat na ibalik agad yun.
Natanggal nga eh.
We will get to that. As a matter of fact, I am also concerned about your advertising expenses. There's an increase of 2 million, pero 9 million.
Yung budget.
Ano total ng advertising expenses ng DDB naka-program sa inyo?
Million. Mga 9.2 million for 2019.
Siyam na 30 seconder lang yan.
That is correct. That's why in-improve nila yung portal para rin sa information campaign nila.
Yeah, through the social media. But again, based on the latest pulse survey that I have read, 80 to 82% of the information that people get nationwide is from television.
Yeah, that is correct. Because every
Television
other-
ang pinakamatinding medium. 2%, 2 to 3% na social media, 2 to 3% na newspapers, ganun lang eh. Di ba? So, perhaps we can look into this also, Your Honor, Mr. President. The advertising expenses, the portal, budget for the portal, and then you have a new locally funded project, which is the upgrade of audio-visual equipment and board meeting facilities in the amount of 2.8 million. 2.8. Tinanong ko na ito dati during the hearing eh. And I'm going to ask again this question. Because in Section 79 of Republic Act 9165, of which I am the principal author of in the Senate, and the principal author in the House is the presiding officer now, Senator Subiri, the Comprehensive Dangerous Drugs Act, it says there that the board shall meet once a week or as often as necessary. Hindi ang ibig sabihin nun pabawas. Ang ibig sabihin nun padami. So, what is the frequency of the meetings now? It has always been so low.
For this year, they had conducted 8 meetings, board meetings, Mr. President.
Dapat 2 buwan lang yun. If we will follow the law, 2 buwan lang yun. Is it still the same problem, quorum?
That is the same perennial problem.
Yung department secretaries hindi umattend,
Hindi nag-attend.
Papadala ng USEC, hindi rin nagpapadala ng USEC.
Director pinapadala. Minsan
Director.
clerk.
Minsan clerk. Hindi counted yun sa quorum. What do you suggest so that we can encourage the conduct of more board meetings? Kasi dyan talaga nanggagaling yan. Even the interagency committee that the Vice President is co-chairing now with the Director General Aquino, they take their cue from the Dangerous Drugs Board.
They're actually proposing para ibaba na lang yung level sa hanggang ASEC level para maging realistic and meeting 8 times for this year doesn't mean that they're not active because the subcommittees are regularly meeting also.
Pero in the 17 board members, may we ask from the DDB, perhaps you can make a study, sino-sino ba talaga importante na lang dyan? When I originally proposed that, the Dangerous Drugs Board, in the law that we passed, konti lang yan, 11 lang talaga yun eh. Dinagdagan ng mga kapwa ko senador, dapat isama daw yung taga-Department of Trade, dapat daw isama yung taga-DepEd, dapat daw isa. Sa kagustuhan ko ipasemba, tas tanggap naman ako ng tanggap. Di ba? Kaya later on, I realized na unwieldy. So ano ba talaga ang crucial? Anong pinaka-importanteng kasama ng DGB sa board meetings? PIDEA. Di ba? Tapos yung representative appointed by the President, ano tawag doon? Ha?
IBP representative.
O yung IBP.
Mga NGOs.
NGOs. Sa departamento, sa mga government departments. Ano importante? Ano
Actually,
crucial?
it's concern-based, Mr. President. And depende, situational din eh. Kung yung parang sign of the times, kung ano yung importante for this particular period of time, then doon ang focus.
Doon na lang pwedeng imbitahin siguro yun because perhaps we can recommend an amendment, Kung hindi kaagad na matatanggap nila at hindi nila makuha kaagad yung sense ko nung gusto kong i-upgrade yung PIDEA into an authority and the Dangerous Drugs Board into one big authority, siguro ang pinakamaganda dyan para masolve din natin yan is i-amend natin muna that particular section, Section 79. Bawasan natin. Ang crucial lang talaga, PIDEA DOH, DILG, ha? Baka pwedeng ano lang eh, pwedeng 7.
Justice.
GOJ, correct? Yun na, lahat ng laman na nakakaintindi ng enforcement, prosecution, rehabilitation, prevention, alternative development, international linkage. Oh, yun na lang.
Pero
Ngayon,
according-
pagka sabi ni, as our sponsor said, kung merong kailangan, let's say about issues on labor, o patawag na ng Department of Labor, di ba? Magiging constant at magiging regular sigurado ang board meetings nito. Ano? At saka pulso. Yung pulso malaking bagay ang pulso rito eh. Your Honor, what do you think? Limit natin sa 7.
Yeah, they will. They're taking note of the
All right.
observation of the Senate President.
All right.
Although as of now, they see the involvement of all the 12, na importante rin talaga. Kaya lang, recommendation lang, to be more practical,
Yes.
ibaba na lang sa ASEC yung level ng mag-a-attend. Kasi even the USEC, medyo hirap sila eh. And
Pwede rin yun eh. Pero I've seen it eh. You know, when I was DDB chair, I made it a point at least once a month. At least once a month. Naghihintay pa kami. Naghihintay para kami para magka-quorum. Ang tindi ng tardiness. Tapos ang palusot, sir, maraming trabaho rin sa, sa department eh. Ganyan. Pero kung yung 7 lang, na talagang ang concern ng 7, yun ang talagang, nasa damdamin at saka sa kalooban nila yung dangerous drugs eh. Yung mga agency na yun eh. DOH, DILG, DOJ, PNP or DILG. Mga ganon. Yun talaga. Sila yung mga main eh. Anyway, we can take it up some other time, but
that is correct.
I was just
Baka
thinking
hindi
that...
kayo magaling manakot, Mr. President. Hindi ka
araw?
masyado magaling manakot. I remember when I was in charge of Yolanda, whenever I called for a meeting, nandun yung mga department secretaries. They were attending.
sanay kang... no, I don't. Please, strike it off the record what I said.
Secretary, it's ordered.
Now, for the PIDEA and also, of course, the DDB, there was a presentation by a foreign company on a new type of drug testing. Kasi yung drug testing sa ngayon, usually, generally, ihi mo. Di ba? And you will not know the result kaagad. Kung tutuusin yan, yung mga sa driving license, kaya natin inalis yun eh. Lokohan eh. Di ba? Papahiin ka, kunwari, nanonood pa yung nagpaihi sa'yo. Tapos, papasok sa kung saang kwarto. Paglabas, binibigyan ka na ng permit. Hindi ganun kabilis yun. Pumunta ka sa PIDEA, magpakuha ka ng drug testing, it takes a while. It really takes some time. Kung talagang gusto mong accurate, lalo na kung yung 7 types, at hindi yung karaniwan na ihilang, yung 7 types na drug testing. Matagal yun. And then sometimes, because of the transporting from another hand to another, kahit labeling ay maayos, pwedeng may mangyari. Ngayon, mayroong Turkish company that came out with a new drug testing kit na isusubo sa'yo, paglabas, isasaksak dun sa equipment, in 8 minutes, alam na kung ano tinira mo o kung wala kang tinira na droga. At ang tagal, let's say, kung shabu, 1 buwan, kahit 1 buwan ka nang hindi gumamit, lilitaw. Pagka marijuana, kahit 1 week, lilitaw. Ngayon, this new type of drug testing is compact, kung saan nadadala. Ngayon, my question is, does the DDB or the PIDEA have a budget for this type of new drug testing kits?
Right now, wala, Mr. President, kasi bagong technology, but they're willing to pilot test randomly, and they're even willing to help them secure the license to operate and yung certification of product registration with the FDA. Kasi kung wala FDA certification, baka mahirapan silang gamitin officially. But right now, they're seriously considering the pilot
Procurement,
testing.
pilot testing. That's
Yes,
good.
Mr. President.
While in the I think they're in the process already of getting an FDA accreditation. No? But the point is, perhaps we should include already in the budget of the DDB and the PIDEA the budget for the procurement of this. So just in case it is approved by the FDA, they can do a test for 2020, and if it is really reliable and accurate, then we can have the other departments and the other bureaus.
The total
take it
estimated
up.
cost is only 23 million. I think we can look for the source of this augmentation,
Oh, yes.
Mr. President.
So the proposal is to pilot test it, and the cost would be approximately 23 million.
No, not the pilot testing. Yung mismong estimated cost for the implementation. For the
Implemented
purchase, yung initial.
implementation
for
na.
next year. So maliit lang naman. I think after the pilot test, the end, kung maganda yung resulta, at least meron ng budget for 2020.
Okay. So, hopefully, Mr. President, we can propose an amendment to this effect.
Yes,
No,
Mr.
to
I will
add an
support
additional-
the amendment, Mr. President.
Thank you. So, in effect, we will be, adding some for their advertising expenses, for the portal, and then the drug testing equipment to come up with an experiment or a trial. Yeah. All right. Finally, Mr. President, on the PIDEA, the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency, the drug enforcement officers, under the drug enforcement officer, you have an authorized plantilla items of 1,962 only. However, only na nga yung 1,962, 238 remains to be unfilled. May we know what these positions are that remain to be vacant?
Mostly, anong position? Mga DO tinanong niya. Drug enforcement officers. That is correct, Mr. President. Yung drug enforcement agents.
Oo.
I remember for this year, during the budget deliberation last year, we added, di ba? Nag-augment tayo ng good for 1,000 ba? But they still lack drug enforcement agents. And for this year, unfortunately, hindi na-aprubahan yung proposed, as proposed under the NEP, hindi na nga na-carry. And then, ganun din. But we were able to augment also their budget in the amount of 1+ billion, 1.4 billion pesos. Kasi
For narcotic officers.
lahat, maraming
enforcement
marami
officers.
silang mga request, Mr. President. But kasama yon.
Anong-
Pati yung training.
Yung graduates ng academy, how many graduates do you have every year?
Sa academy. Hindi, pero ilan yung na-expect na. Around 600, Mr. President. Yung mga
600
agent
a year?
trainees.
Huh?
Yeah, presently in training.
Presently in training. So approximately sa isang taon, mga ilang kaya ang gagraduate ng academy?
For 2018, 600. Pero ngayon, 400 plus for 2019.
So, hindi na siguro dapat maging unfilled itong 238 na to. At kung kailangan pa, pwede pa natin dagdagan, hindi po ba?
Pero ongoing pa rin yung recruitment program nila, Mr. President. At saka yung
Because
kasama yung training.
I will always rely on a PIDEA Academy graduate when it comes to presentation, investigation, intelligence work on dangerous drugs. Nakapokus talaga sila eh. No, with due respect to the other narcotic officers, no, pero pag graduate do sa academy, mas nakakasiguro ka na kabisado niya yung dapat gawin, ano, at hindi yung nangyayari sa kasalukuyan. Mga prosecutor, pag kinausap mo, ang sagot sa akin, mga banu daw yung mga pulis ko. Pag nagsasambit ng kaso, hindi raw marunong magsambit ng kaso. Nung tinanong ko yung mga pulis, ang sagot sa akin, hindi sir, yung mga piskal nyo nalalagyan. Saan ka lalagay doon? Hindi ba? Again, hopefully, the academy may produce more agents, no, for PIDEA. And then, kung ano pa yung mga sa tingin natin ay makakatulong, Mr. President, Your Honor, being the sponsor of their budget, I am sure we will be able to minimize their woes and lack of funding. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you to the gentleman from Cavite.
Thank you for the input, Senate President.